warm start. That's not, it's not warm. It's just not cold. But the engine's cold, so that counts. Here we go. All right, cold start. Buckle up, kids. Once again, have a long way to go and a short time to get there. So, I think I'll plot my course and check back in. Hey folks, here we are. I apologize for all the beeping and booping. I just, I ended up behind this little Geo Metro, and it's a car I was talking about recently. Just for scale, do you see how tiny it is? Like, look when this minivan passes it. Look at how tiny it is. Oh my gosh. And I'm like, I can't believe I drove one of those. It's just nuts. That thing is so small, and I know the little engine is just going to try and get up this hill. And glad I'm not in that car. I mean, as much as I love it, I'd love to have one, but I'd be terrified if I was that person. But yeah, I had a couple of things. First things first, I would just like to personally thank all of you that have been watching my videos, Mom and Dad especially. Thank you. Big shout out to Mom and Dad, and everyone else. I feel like we're the little channel that could. As of filming this, I think I have about 87 subscribers, which, I think is up something like 28 in the last month. So big shout out to the new subscribers. I really appreciate you guys, checking in here. And so I have a little goal. By the end of the month, I want to try and get to 100. And I hear the climb to 100 is a tough one, and I'm really feeling it. Like, we're so close, but that number just kind of holds every day, and then it goes up 1 or 2, and anyway, so I know we can get there. And if you have a friend or an enemy that would enjoy or hate these videos, please send them. I don't really care either way. Tell your friends, tell your enemies, all of that good stuff. So, kind of getting into my main idea for today's video would have to be, I was watching The Car Wizard, and for those of you that haven't checked out The Car Wizard, check him out. He's a repair shop in, I believe, Wichita, Kansas area. I think he's in Newton or something like that, just outside of Wichita. And he runs a shop called Omega Auto Clinic. And he seems like one of those shops that, you go to him, it's not going to be cheap, but it's going to get done right. And if it's not right, he'll make it right. It's that kind of thing. He's an honest shop, and he just tells it like it is. And I think people feel a real connection to that, since we've all had mechanic shops at some point that we didn't trust. We felt that we got taken advantage of, et cetera, et cetera. And so The Car Wizard, whose name happens to be David, is one of those mechanics that you can trust. And he's featured on Hoovie's Garage. I'm sure you know Hoovie's Garage, but check that out. But anyway, like the latest Car Wizard video, I kind of watched it this morning while I was half awake. He was doing a post-purchase inspection on I think it was like an 06 Dodge Magnum or something, and apparently this car had been in an accident, and it was just a complete disaster. Like, a disaster on all levels. Mickey Mouse had been in there. No, I mean, not rat damage, but Mickey Mouse the mechanic had been in there, and just everything was screwed up, and the car was basically just junk. It looked nice, kind of, but it was junk. And I got to thinking back on my history of cars and times when that's happened. I remember it did happen, speaking of Geo Metros, My friend Mario wanted a Metro. It was before we bought our pair of Metros at the same time. But we found one on Craigslist, got it for like $600. You know, it had a blown head gasket, and we didn't really, you know, we liked cars, but we didn't know much about them, and didn't know the telltale signs of a blown head gasket, and a bunch of other problems. So that car was junk, and that was a whole other story. But I'm thinking about, I think it was around 2014, something around there. My wife had a Volkswagen. I was concerned that it was going to start breaking, even though it had been a perfectly good car. I was just, I think, you know, of course I was worried that it didn't have a warranty and it was going to start breaking and it was hard to find a mechanic and it was going to cost a lot of money. But really, we should have just risked it. You know, that was a really good car. Really, really good car. Never gave us any problems. Except for like a starter and rear brakes a bunch of times. But really, really, really good car. And but at the time I had a police car. I had a 05 Crown Vic and loved it. Super reliable. You know, it was a great car. And I had my 96 Mustang GT, and both of those cars had the same engine. So I was on Team Ford big time. You know, that 4.6 liter modular V8. You know, it doesn't make a lot of power, but it makes a lot of noise, and it feels fast, and it runs forever. I mean, it's a really good engine. Like they did a admirable job with that engine. You know, and I think one of the reasons why it works so well is because it doesn't make much power. You know, you're looking at somewhere between, I can't remember what the earlier ones made. I want to say close to like 200 horse, and then the later ones made like 260. You know, so depending upon what application, you'd be in the neighborhood of 200 to 260 horsepower, give or take. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's plenty of power to move a car around. It's got plenty of low end torque. I mean, it could use more, right? But it was okay. Like it was entertaining. You know, it feels powerful when you drive it. And you really can't beat the feel of a V8. You know, the feel of a V8 under your right foot is just it's one of those really special things. Even when they're not fast, they always feel powerful. You know. So anyway, being the car guy that I thought I was on Craigslist every day. You know, just wanted to see. I thought, you know, the best move would be to put my wife in a Crown Vic, because then we'll have, you know, two big sedans. We'll have the Mustang. You know, we'll just be a 4.6 liter family. It's going to be great. Parts are cheap. Parts are available. You know, what's the worst that can happen? What could possibly go wrong? So browsing. At the time, you could pick up a clapped out police car for pretty cheap, you know, like under 2 G's, high mileage and beat up, but you could get them. But I didn't want to get her one of those, you know, she's a lady. I wanted to get her a luxurious car. And then one night, there it was, 1997 Ford Crown Victoria LX, one owner, just, you know, owned by a school teacher, just driven to school and home, back and forth. It's a cream puff of a car. The pictures look great. You know, it was the LX, so it had leather seats. It was like dark green with like cream white leather. What a nice car. You know, thick carpet. You know, it had the HPP package, so it had the upgraded suspension. It had the HPP wheels. It had the dual exhaust. You know, I thought, man, this is it. You know, dual zone climate control. It just had like almost every option you could get in 1997. So I was all about it. I was super excited. And so I called the guy up, and I'm thinking, man, you know, I've got to get this. I've got to move on this deal. So had a little bit of cash. Grabbed my cash. made an appointment. I had a busy schedule at that time. I mean, I've always, I guess, had a busy schedule, but I made plans to go see the car at night. Now, every single YouTube video you're going to find about looking at cars, they're going to say, hey, don't look at a car at night, and don't look at a car in the rain. And why is that? Well, it's because darkness and rain can both hide body damage, they can hide smoke, all kinds of stuff. But I thought I knew better, and I know my Fords. It's going to be fine. I thought, well, I'm a car guy, and I know everything about these. And it just goes to show you, no matter who you think you are, you can still get kind of. I think the excitement of buying a car is something that really can get the better of us. We get so excited that we hear a noise, we see a problem, and we just kind of think, oh, that's fine. It's worth it. The car's such a good deal. I'll deal with that. It's no big deal. It's fine. It's fine. Right? I don't want somebody else to get my deal. And that's what happened to me that night. I mean, it was bad, man. The plan was we'd buy this car, and then I would sell her Volkswagen. I thought that I could go all in on this car for like $2,000, make it perfect, sell her car, and we'd have like $2,000 left over. I just thought, man, I'm a genius. This is the best idea ever. So I think the dude was asking something like $1,500 or $1,600 for the car. We go see it. It's like 8, 9 o'clock at night, and he lived down in like Manhattan Beach, and he's like, yeah, it's my wife's car. She's a school teacher, and she just drove it back and forth, and it was such a good car, but we bought something new, and it's just been sitting for a year, and I just put a new battery in it or something. I can't remember. In any case, it seemed that his story was true. The car had Michelins on it, and those Michelins were from Costco. I could see that they had the green nitrogen, valve cover cap, valve stem cap, whatever. And I thought, wow, it's got Michelins. That's good. I looked under the hood. It looked like it had fairly fresh spark plug wires, new coil packs, and then I could see that the intake manifold had been done. Because those 4.6 liters all blow their intake manifolds. They're plastic and they crack and you get coolant in the cylinders and it's a drag, right? So I thought, well, this is great. It's got a fresh tune-up. It's got Michelins with good tread. It's got the nice wheels, right? It's got good ignition stuff. And I thought, this is great, So I asked him, I said, well, can we take a test drive? And he was like, oh, I don't know. I mean, are you really serious about buying the car? I said, well, yeah, but I'm not going to be serious about buying it until I test drive. He's like, well, I don't know. I don't really feel comfortable with people driving my car. And that just seemed kind of fishy to me. And that should have been the red flag of like, well, he's hiding something. He doesn't want me to drive it, So, it was just like strike. I should have known better. I noticed that there was some smoke coming from the exhaust, but I figured it was just because we were near the ocean. It was late. It was cold. I thought, well, it's just condensation. Wrong. Wrong. We get in the car, the seats, the headliner was falling down. It was a disaster. The seats were ripped and cracked and dried out, probably from sitting for a year, right? And dirty. They were white seats, but they were not white anymore. You know what I mean? What else was wrong with the car? And the paint. Like the roof and the hood and the trunk were just completely oxidized. No clear coat to speak of. It looked awful. And, the paint just looked like death. It was horrendous. but I thought, it's okay, you know. I'll do the old Earl Scheib, you know, $400 or $500. You know, I figured we'll just do a quick and dirty scuff and shoot single stage, you know, just so that it looks one color. That's fine. So I wasn't worried about the paint, but I thought, you know, this car has good bones. We'll be fine. 179,000 miles. So we get the car home. Well, we took it for a drive. I could smell antifreeze. But I thought, I'm sure that's nothing. Friends, if you smell antifreeze or coolant while you're test driving a car, that you're not supposed to smell coolant when you're driving a car, period. You know, the cooling system is a sealed system. There's not supposed to be, you should not smell that, okay? I should know better. So I smelled coolant on the test drive, but I thought, you know, it's fine. So the next day, I see it in the daylight. Oh my God. It was awful, right? Disgusting. I mean, the outside was bad, the inside was worse. I get it to my mechanic. I mean, I was enjoying the drive. You know, it was a lot smoother than my police car. You know, the steering was really light and kind of floaty. The suspension was real soft and cushy, and the seats were like couches. You know, I was loving it. I thought, well, you know, it's going to need a little bit of love, and you know, every car needs a little bit of love. So I think I negotiated the guy down to like $1,100, maybe it was $1,300, somewhere in that range. I don't remember exactly. So I took it to my shop, and my shop kind of specialized in those cars. They did a lot of taxi cab repairs. So, you know, I was in good hands, right? And I thought, well, certainly my mechanic Michael won't steer me wrong. And I said, look, Michael, look this over. I said, I haven't signed the title yet. So if it's too far gone, or if you think it's just not worth it, you know, don't do any work. Mistake. You know, he called me back. He was like, okay, we checked out your car. It looks like it's going to need a radiator and a heater core. Now, friends, the heater core on the Crown Vic and the Lincoln Town Car Grand Marquis, it is inside the dashboard on the passenger side, I believe. And the entire dash has to come out.
In 5.8
miles,
exit onto exit 42.
Which is a pretty big job, okay? Like just labor. I think the heater core is like $45 or something, but the labor is insane. And so he's like, yeah, you're looking at about $450 for the heater core, which is actually a good price, folks, for the record. And then I think he wanted another $350 for the radiator or something. And I said, okay, Michael, well, I said, if you think it's worth it, I mean, I said, because I just don't want to end up in a situation where I'm throwing good money after bad. If this car isn't good, you know, I'll just sell it down, cut my losses, you know, or give it back. And it didn't come with a smog certificate. Out here in California, the rule is when you sell a car, you're supposed to provide a smog certificate. Now, that smog certificate is good for 90 days. But some people just don't do it. And they just say, oh, yeah, well, it passed smog last time, no problem, so it'll pass this time. And that's what this guy had told me. He's like, oh, you're not going to have any problem passing smog. I'm like, oh, okay. So I told Michael to go ahead, and I think the total, I think it was like, yeah, I paid $1,300 for the car. I just remembered. That's how much it was. And I just remember, I think it was going to be about $900, you know, to sort out the cooling system and everything. And I said, yeah, go ahead, do it. So another day or two passes. He's done with the repairs. He calls me up. He's like, yeah, so, yeah, we finished with the repairs, but, yeah, I don't know what's going on, but, you know, the car, I don't know what's going on, but it's smoking a little bit out of the tailpipe. We're not sure what's causing that. I said, oh, really? And he said, yeah, he said, you know, I think, you know, you might have some sort of a piston problem, but engine restore sometimes does the trick. So if you want, we can put that in. It's about $50 or $60 for a can for the V8 stuff. I said, yeah, well, I guess go ahead. At this point, we had some new parts in it, and put that in there. And I said, okay, great. I'm gonna go take it for a smog test. So I pick it up at the shop, and this is one of those things that my wife still laughs about, like hysterically. I get in the car, I pull it around the side, and then all of a sudden I hear, and it was the rear air shocks just killing themselves. And then the car was just squatting on the back. And it happened while I was at the shop. Unbelievable. So, I asked Michael, I said, hey, how much to convert this to springs? And I think he said something like $200 or $300. And I said, okay, go ahead and do it. So at this point, we're in the whole $1,100-$1,200 in repairs. So I've paid as much in repairs as I had paid for the car. I still didn't have a smog certificate. I still couldn't register it. You know what I mean? It was just one thing after another. I took it to the smog place, just using my spine as the rear suspension. It was brutal, just bouncing around like a moron. And the smog guy, the poor car was just like blowing smoke like crazy. Just pure oil smoke. And he just looked at me like, no, that's not gonna pass. He was like, I don't even need to test it. That's not gonna pass. If you want to waste your money, go ahead. I was like, okay. So I've got a car with expired tags that I can't register. It's not gonna pass smog. It was a nightmare. So
exit to the right onto exit 42, Avenue K.
My neighbor next door was a mechanic as well. And he was like, yeah, man,
turn left
he said,
onto West Avenue K.
He said, what you could do is try a little bit of, just let it run,
onto West Avenue K.
Drive it to, put some miles on it. Maybe, he was like, it could be the catalytic converter, maybe it has some buildup on it. You want to get those cats nice and hot. Put some miles on it, change the PCV valve. I was like, okay, I'll do that. So at this point, I've got new rear springs, I've got a new cooling system, I've got other miscellaneous stuff in the car. Still can't pass smog. And then the transmission started shifting rough. But I was just determined to get my money's worth. So I may or may not have driven the car, 1,000 or 2,000 miles just to try and get my money's worth out of it a little bit, And in any case, I finally, my car's, speaking of which, anyway, let me check back in a minute. Folks, there's some days you just feel like a hot mess. That would be me today. I need coffee, but I can't seem to get coffee. So anyway, I had all of this money into the car. Transmission started shifting really rough, and which is funny because as soon as I said that, then the transmission in my LS just now started shifting rough. But hopefully it's just because maybe I gave it confusing commands. But yeah, so I realized that, even the paint on that Crown Vic was never going to happen. That was just not going to happen. So I decided to cut my losses. I asked a few friends if they were interested in buying it, and no, nobody wanted that. I should have known better. I was hoping I could recoup some of my money. At that point I had close to, it was over $2,000, right? Probably closer to $2,500. And for me at the time, that was, that would hurt my feelings now pretty big, but back then it was really pretty financially devastating, and I shouldn't have been gambling. In any case, I put it on Craigslist. Crickets. Nothing. I was asking $2,000. Nothing. I lowered it to $1,500. Nothing. Finally, I think I lowered it to $1,200. And this dude came to look at it, and we drove it around the block. The transmission was just shifting like garbage. But it shifted okay for that drive, and it was smoking, like oil smoke everywhere. And then he was just like, I can't remember what he offered me. I think I said something like, $1,000 is as low as I'll go. And he's like, yeah, I'll have to think about it, or something. Or he said, I'll have to go get the money. And then he called me back like 5 minutes later. He's like, I'll give you $850 for it today. I was like, yeah. so gave him the title. I never signed it, done, $850, and I ran. I mean, I took a beating on that, but the fact that it was out of my hair, I mean, that was just so scary. I lost so much sleep over that deal. My wife and I nicknamed that car Lemona. And, the tale of Lemona. She was, the thing was, we had a good time driving her. We drove her, we would drive her to like Irvine and stuff, just to like put some miles on her, hoping the oil thing would clear up. But it just never did. And in any case, that's the story. So I don't know if you have any stories like that. I'd love to hear them. It's bound to happen. Anyway, catch up later. Well, hello, ladies and gentlemen. You can see by the street lights and everything, it's dark outside. So I made it to the end of my day. I'm just not home. So trying to correct that now. Got a little bit of like bittersweet news today, and it's of course what I've been looking for or looking forward to, but at the same time I feel a slight bit of sadness. Got a call from my Kia dealership, and my car is ready. I wasn't able to pick it up today because I was busy working, but I'm gonna go get it tomorrow. And so that means that my time commuting with the LS400 has come to an end once again. And, like, what can I say, man? I'm a little sad about it. I really do love this car, and I've loved driving it, ever since I bought it. I mean, of course, like, I'll still have the car, but I'm just not going to be spending this many hours in it. And, for obvious reasons, like, I'm kind of a high distance driver. I go a long way pretty much every day, and, getting 20, 21 miles per gallon on premium, it just gets pretty expensive, so that, and the fact that, if I can shave any minutes off of my drive by getting in the carpool lane solo, I very much take advantage of that opportunity. So that's where the Kia really needs to come back into my life. And also, it just has a little more room inside for me. There's more headroom, there's more leg room. It's just kind of an easier car to deal with on a day-to-day basis. But at the same time, one cannot complain about the LS400 very much. This is really a fine automobile. It really drives beautifully. It's very comfortable. It's very smooth. It's very quiet, and it just has a luxurious feel. It takes us back to an analog time, and I'm going to be returning to a digital time. And of course, there are great things about both. The efficiency is what's so great about the digital stuff, and just the modern conveniences that I have in the Kia. Apple CarPlay, cooled seats, heated seats, dual pane moonroof, the electric drivetrain, the hybrid gasoline drivetrain, the tight steering, the good handling, the 40 to 60 miles per gallon that I very much enjoy. So there are just kind of a lot of things that make that a better tool for the job that I do. But like I said, I feel a great fondness for the LS400. I feel like it's a friend. This car is a friend. And of course, I'm not getting rid of it. I'm just not going to be racking up the miles like I've been doing. Hopefully my wife can drive this car a bit, and of course, like we'll still take it out for some things, but it will go back to pretty much sitting and chilling, and that's okay. I mean, it's a great backup car. It's it's a beautiful car. So I want to keep it as long as I can, and be as good a caretaker as I can afford to be. There are some maintenance things that need to be done right now that, if I were to continue pounding miles on it like this, they would need to be addressed as soon as possible. But seeing as how I'm getting my car back, and I'm going to have to pay $500 to get it back, I think the upgrades are going to have to kind of, they're not upgrades, but the maintenance things are going to have to just wait on this car for a while. I mean, in the last month, I gave it tires and an alignment, a full synthetic oil change. That's pretty good. I also bought, hood struts for it that I need to put on. So, I've thrown like close to $1,000 at the car, and that's just all I can do right now. I think it's going to need brakes. I think it's going to need, sway bar end links, and or ball joints, and or suspension, strut mounts. But I don't know. I'm just theorizing. I'd like to jack the car up and wiggle on the tires and kind of see what happens, but I just don't have time for it right now, and there's other stuff that I need to devote my energy to. So that's just how that's going to work. But again, it's great to know that this car is at the ready. I mean, I feel like I could do none of that stuff and still drive it another 1,000 or two, with no real issue. Because, I mean, she's just running great. Just great. Little state, State of the Union, as I like to say on the car. 20.4 miles per gallon on this tank. We've done a lot of stop and go traffic, and I mean a lot. And then when we weren't doing stop and go traffic, we were doing go traffic. So really some brisk freeway drives. 179 miles since refuel. I'm on a half a tank now, like right in the middle. I've put 4 hours and 20 minutes in the driver's seat on this tank, averaging 40 miles per hour, and the range is another 191 miles. So this may be kind of the last video on the LS that you see for a while. I mean, we're going to do some other stuff. I'm definitely going to make a video on the hood support struts when I change those out. It should be an easy job. I don't want to jinx myself, because the last one I said that about didn't go so well, and I think I blew out the 12 volt outlet in my by the ashtray. So I'm gonna need to check some fuses, but again, that's just not that important right now. But yeah, so expect to see some more Kia content coming very soon. Hopefully some Corvette content. I want to get the exhaust done. I may try and do that Friday if I can, but I probably won't. We'll see. There's just a lot. There's a lot going on. There's a lot coming up, and I'm just trying to, trying to keep my head above water, as they say. Again, the goal of 100 subscribers by the end of the month. I'm really hoping we can do that. I mean, I only need like 13 people. I could even call people and ask them to subscribe, but I don't want to do that. I could, I suppose, get on my social media and ask my friends, but I kind of want the channel to just grow organically if it can. So anyway, if you're enjoying this, please spread the word. I really appreciate it. And I appreciate all the comments. I appreciate any of you clicking the thumbs up button. That really helps. And just all of that good stuff. And it's just nice connecting with friends new and old. So I think I'm going to end the video here. I still have a bit of driving to do, but I think I'm just going to jam out some tunes, and I will catch you tomorrow. So have a wonderful day. Like, share, subscribe, do all that good stuff, and I will see you in the next one.